So this is Bajaj's flagship offering, the Dominar 400. Sharing most of its underpinnings from the KTM Duke 390, the Dominar always made a strong statement with performance. So much so that despite the largely detuned power output, it still competed with Royal Enfields and came out victorious. But it's been a while now and the competition have gotten better. Has Bajaj done enough to retain its crown? Or do we have a new value champion?
Let's start off with the most fundamental change that has transformed the way we looked at the Dominar, and that is the engine. It gets the same 373.2cc single liquid cooled fuel injected motor like in the previous generation Dominar 400. But it now shares a similar 4-valve head design like in the Duke 390, and that has made a world of difference of how the Dominar feels. So now the Dominar comes with an extra dope of refinement, and the motor is a lot more eager to hit the red line than ever. Along with that, the additional power, which is now rated at 40 PS, makes the Dominar over a second quicker to the ton. However, more power doesn't mean more rev range because red line comes at similar 9500 RPM. Bajaj is smartly running higher compression ratios, which is again closer to the Duke 390. And that leads to the concept of heat management, because you're making the engine run at higher compressions and deliver more power, which means you're making it to generate more heat as well. I've been gunning the bike for a while now and I don't seem to experience any unconventional heat from the engine. Props to Bajaj for getting the setup right. When I said it has transformed the way we looked at the Dominar, this is exactly what I meant, because this no longer feels like a lazy cruiser, because the character of the engine is pretty damn close to that of a Duke 390. But I think the rest of the bike is what sets it apart from the KTM.
Coming to the handling dynamics, how the Dominar takes corners is something I didn't expect it to blow me away with. Because Bajaj clearly wants to set up the Dominar apart from the Duke 390, and that is evident. This is the same reason why it employs a perimeter frame instead of a steel trellis, longer wheelbase and ergonomics of a power cruiser than of a street naked. And of course the laid back tires. The Dominar was never meant to excite you in the twisties, but to an extent it probably did.
In long sweeping corners, the Dominar is plenty stable thanks to the revised suspension setup with USDs at the front and a better tuned monoshock at the rear. Along with that, the wheelbase being at 2035mm does matter, but that also means during quick change of direction, the Dominar suffers too much to be sure. Unless you're fighting lap times, this isn't a matter of distress because the Dominar can still carry decently in angles and can exit out of the corners that much quicker.
Looking at it from a tourer's perspective, the Dominar has become a lot better with its highway capabilities. The engine can carry much higher pace and feel at ease while doing it constantly. The ride quality is now a lot more supple despite inheriting some sporty bits. So all in all, the Dominar is made for the highways and it shows. The Dominar takes you places you always wanted to go, and while doing that, it offers so much comfort that it feels like home. There are few things I wish the Dominar did better. This could be just me, but I wish Bajaj managed the weight better or maybe even reduce it a little. Because with 184 kilos and long wheelbase, you do feel the weight, especially within the city and during quick change of directions. Out on the highways though, this isn't a problem, but there I found a much bigger issue that the Dominar comes with. Every time you go past 130 km per hour, due to its long wheelbase, 50-50 weight distribution and the soft suspension setup, the bike wobbles way too much not to be worried about. And when you're in mood to some adrenaline rush, the rev limiter got you limited. I only wish the bike revved a little higher, because in this setup, you're actually not extracting the complete potential of this motor. And the ergonomics, although is comfortable, you still have to stretch your arms to reach the handlebars, especially if you are a small guy like me. That would result in multiple fatigue on longer run. But that aside, the Dominar is still the most value for money bike out there, in and around 2 lakh rupee price mark. And as far as my personal choice is concerned, I'd still pick the Honda CBR250R over the Dominar. Although the CBR makes a lot less power, a lot less torque, and is slower by a fair margin, the CBR can do highway duties better than the Dominar and still offer a more engaging ride to the enthusiast. But if you want something a lot more fun, the Duke 390 exists for that very reason. If you want something in between the Dominar and the Duke 390, the Honda CB300R will be the perfect pick. All these missions together make the TVS-made BMW GT10R look all witty for what it is, and makes the Royal Enfields, other than the 650, look like a joke.